Hey everybody, this is Grace. In this video, I'm going to talk about, I'm going to start off with talking about that yesterday I watched that movie, Sybil. I think it's Diane Keaton was the therapist. Anyway, it was a 2007, I think, version of it. I think I read the book when I was young, really young, or some of it, something. And of course, I've heard over years about Sybil and multiple personalities, and my degrees are in psychology and sociology. And so I've heard about multiple personalities. Now it's called Dissociative Identity Disorder, DID. And I mentioned in a video that I've been writing stories for a while now, and most of them aren't published yet, made public. But one of my characters, Amanda, has multiple personalities, alters, and she's the host. I had to get this lingo down, everyday kind of thing. But she doesn't know it. She's not aware of it. And one of her alters, the most common one, is Pauline. And Pauline and Amanda are both the same age, which is 57. And I also mentioned that Pauline is mainly online. And I believe what people say is whenever there's a new alter, it's when they were born. Okay? And Pauline was born when, even though they're the same age, but when Amanda bought her first computer. And Pauline was, ever since then, this was back when Amanda was around 20, like I just said, somewhere in her late 20s. And Pauline was born, like I just said. But she really got into it, but Amanda didn't. Okay. Amanda did enough just to get by with schools. She was a graduate student, taking classes and everything, what she needed to write papers, things like this. But Pauline really got into it for more, all kinds of things. Okay, so I've written some notes about it, and one of the things I wrote, and this is just so, and the word's corny, and the word corny is corny, but it was that at nighttime, after dark, that's when Pauline comes out to take a ride on the internet highway. But this is, part of the story. Pauline comes out usually only at nighttime, after dark. And like I said, Amanda doesn't know that she has these alters, but she does suspect something. Okay, sorry, it's jumping all over the place. But Amanda has suspected a lot of things over the years, and had suspicions over the years, a lot of suspicions. And that's because little things would happen, like more recently, when Amanda falls asleep, she usually has her iPad or her Android in her hand, and when she wakes up, she's like, why, that happened. But also, it hit her nose and busted her nose, the iPad, and while she was asleep, and she says, something's not, it's not me, I'm not one to do that. But it is. It's Pauline who's doing it. And Pauline gets on after dark, and whether it's on the desktop, laptop, she mainly tries to use the laptop because it's what Amanda doesn't use. But she gets online, she makes podcast type videos. She never shows her face. She has a little bit of a different accent. It's a little tougher than her attitude and accent, or the attitude mainly tougher than Amanda. And she also gets on a women's writers group, and that Amanda's been on for like 30 years, and she does her own little podcast on it, but she'll take it off before Amanda would be able to see it. So okay, I thought I'd give a little bit of background there. It's kind of dry, but to tell more to this story, like I said, it's easy to get their names mixed up, which is funny to me. But Amanda is, like I said, the host, and Pauline is one of the alters. I went to a restaurant, drive-through, and had to go through twice, and nobody answered. So I don't know. I saw a guy walking around, and they had the product sitting up there, but I don't know. So I left. But anyway, real life happens in the middle of the video. But I want to talk more about this. I want to learn more about this too. Dissociative Identity Disorder. And because, like I said, I had watched that show, that movie, Sybil. And then I watched something after it. The only place I found it on was YouTube. And then there was a woman who was basically saying that it was all fake. Sybil was fake, made up by, I think it was, the psychiatrist, or I don't know if she was a psychiatrist or what, but and she had gotten someone to write for her or something like that, and basically they all came up with this as a scheme or something, and so okay. Did not know that. Well, I'd heard stuff. I'm one that's very skeptical. I don't really know if I believe in multiple personalities like that, like you would see. And I said that in a video yesterday, that they sensationalize things, of course, to make movies or whatever, and possibly that was too. You get it, what I'm saying. And so, really, what is it? I think of it as something different than what you would see in movies and books, and movies and like the books like Sybil and so on and so forth, because they're made to be dramatic. Maybe it's not as dramatic. And I also, some of the things I question is, how many people who have been with around narcissistic people, they say that sometimes they're real good, and then they turn around and their behaviors are awful and abusive, and then they can be good again. And how many have questioned, could it be that they have multiple personalities? Can a person have DID, multiple personalities, and one of them be? Okay, I don't know where it cut off. It got hot. But I was talking about, people who have been around people who are very narcissistic, sometimes even histrionic, in my view. They can be very, one way, 1 minute, borderline two, and then they're just kind of normal. Actually, if you think of any of the cluster Bs, when you think about it, they can be pretty normal, and then they're not. And some would say multiple personality, some would say bipolar disorder. I would think, could this be that? The whole thing of Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, is that it's more on that they, maybe some of them, it's more of a multiple personality thing and not just narcissism. And it begs the questions. It begs several questions. Can somebody, with multiple personality have one that's narcissistic and the host is not? When an alter is, the host is not. And this question. And could it be that the people with narcissistic behavior, narcissistic personality disorder, actually have multiple personality disorder? You see, it's a lot of questions there. Or any cluster B, instead of it being that they are these, instead is that the root of it is a multiple personality issue than anything else. See what I'm saying? Okay, now, to get back to this with Pauline, like I said, she mainly comes out after dark. She gets online. She does all kinds of things online, including, making podcasts and videos. She doesn't show her face. She has a little bit of different voice than Amanda's, different attitude, tougher. And some of the things that she does is she checks emails, she checks comments, groups, online, whatever she can find, she checks, and she winds up at times getting the host, Amanda, in trouble. Okay, really now. People can't understand me with my mask on. That's weird. Okay, I was going to show you something. You can't see it. Anyway, this is how I do my videos. But they have a bunch of carts over there. I'm wondering why. What are they called? We used to call them go-karts. I don't know what they're called. But I asked the woman. She didn't know. Anyway, so I was using Pauline. And I'm going to use Pauline as, like I said, as an example of an altar. Now, some of the things I wonder is, of course, the host doesn't know. Amanda doesn't know. Eventually they could know. But I would think of it as very difficult not to suspect something because of the time. Just suspect, wondering why is my time just going away, from me? What's happening during that time? It's enough, I would think, but I don't know. Sometimes a person can be in a state of denial. But anyway, okay. And like I said, Pauline can get Amanda in trouble online, and Amanda wouldn't know because Pauline's got this tougher attitude, and some of the things that she does, like that women's writers group, she can say things that are kind of mean. And Amanda has known these women for, probably around that, 30 years, like I said, however long. But she has that tougher attitude, and some people find abrasive and offensive, and like things that has actually happened to me, like people posting comments on my videos that have a URL. Well, I have it to where any URLs are not allowed in comments, but it sends it to that what is it called, where you go in and you review it. It needs to be reviewed or whatever, and I'll see the URL, that link, whatever you want to call it. And when somebody is trying to advertise their own channel and their own videos by leaving comments to me, telling me that I need to go and watch that video. I don't click on it, and I don't know, it could be somebody else's. But then you go to their channel and you see that this is what they do videos on. And no, you're not doing that. And so that would be something that I would say, Pauline would do something like that. She reads these comments and she goes through them and things like that, and says no, or she can get Amanda in trouble by being too rude in response. To me, the best thing to do with something like that is just either delete or block delete or whatever you have to do, flag it. Because really, people advertising their own channels and their own videos on somebody else's channel, really? That takes a lot of nerve, in my view. How dare you? And to say, you need to go and watch this video of mine. And then, like I said, go to this happened to me, and I went and looked at the channel, and it was, take a while. One of those kind of like life coaches that, is trying to make a business out of it, keep a business out of it. That's totally what I'm against. And the character Pauline, now she's going to be like this, she is like this, tougher. She says, no, I'm not taking no BS like that. But like I said, she can get Amanda in trouble because of her rudeness and some of it's not even rude. Some of it is what they deserve. That's her attitude. She's not being rude. They deserve this attitude toward her. Hey, I got a little Pauline in myself too. But you see what I'm saying. And yeah. Okay. And I mentioned that I already have one alter, and one other alter for Amanda, and I said I didn't know about naming it this name, but this is what popped into my head to name it, was Gracie. Okay, actually it was Grace at first. I said, no wait, I already have a character, Grace, that I've written in writing. But Gracie then came to mind, and why not? Okay, why not? And today I came up with another character, another alter, name for one, and this, because those three are all the same age, and my age, mine and Amanda's. But this one is going to be younger, okay? Yeah, much younger. But see, how I am seeing it is more like not really a person that would have an age, but would behave in an age, like a certain age group. And, that's what I wonder about. People have heard that they're actually a person that, they, not an actual person, but they think of them as having the name, an age group, and how they look like. Maybe that's not always the case, or maybe it's never the case, but people have heard it as the case, so that they make it as the case. Got that? I know that makes sense somewhere down the line, but really, it's more of a, like the youngest, the one that I just mentioned, is going to have behaviors that are younger. How many people have you met, like, and then they don't have to be this, say narcissistic, and they sometimes act much younger than their age. Well, guess what? Their victims can be the same way too. Anybody can be the same way in different situations. I've always said, like, people who are dating and they've been married for many years, and something happens, like divorce or whatever, and they go out and start dating again, their mind is not quite at well, I can't even say that, but they still think in terms of when they were dating before they got married. It's to some degree, not all, none of this is all, but to some degree. Their maturity within that, whatever you want to call it, arena in life, that their maturity, how it has developed, they don't even not even know the terminology for like different types of relationships. That happened to me. You see what I'm saying? So they somewhat act, less mature because they're less mature in that arena. You see? So, hey, my phone got hot again and cut itself off again. But let's think about this. How many times have we said that narcissistic people, some of them, they do things, like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of thing, and that they do the really abusive things, and then when you say something to them later, they say, I never did that. I never said that. And we call it gaslighting. Okay. To some of it is gaslighting. Gaslighting can be other things too. But what if it is really the root is the base is multiple personalities? And they just aren't, they are the host and they just don't realize it. And when you say, you said this and you did that and you were saying, I didn't do that. What are you talking about? I've heard that. I've heard that in my lifetime. Yeah. Yeah. Really, when you think about it, what if it is? Like people with borderline and so on and so forth, just whenever they have a rage or something, it's that alter that's taking over. I mean, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, okay? So, how old is that? But could it be? Or should we keep them separate? How can you keep those two separate? Like any cluster B personality disorder versus dissociative identity disorder. Or, you see, multiple personalities. How can you keep it separate when it does seem like they are more than one person? And then seem totally baffled when you say you said that and you did this. See? Okay, I'm going to delve deeper into that. But I'm wrapping this up now before it gets hot again. I'll talk to you on another video. Bye.